Discuss all of this and a whole lot more is adjunct professor at Montclair State University, Dan Geltrude. All right, Dan, you knew we had to talk about this. So the U.S. recession worries are shaking global markets and multiple sectors have been affected, suggesting widespread market uncertainty. Now, we saw even Taiwan stock market worst day in 57 years. So the Dow dropped 1,000 points, NASDAQ closing over 500 points, S&P 500 down 160 points. European markets also down, while Japan's Nikkei index has rebounded following the global stock rout. This massive market plunge coming just days after President Joe Biden insisted the Biden-Harris administration, quote unquote, cured the economy. Dan, that is laughable. I mean, what just happened yesterday is under the Biden-Harris watch. What is your advice for uncertain stockholders in this panic right now?
To begin with, the stock market is about playing the long game. So people who look at the stock market day over day and think that they're going to get rich by trying to time the market, that doesn't happen. So I would tell everyone out there, you need to be patient and you need to play the long game. Not a year, 2 years, it's 3 years or more. You have to give the stock market the chance to go through those peaks and valleys. And if you look at over time, right, when you don't try to time things, you will do well. Now, how long this is going to last, no one knows, because it seems to me that Wall Street all of a sudden caught up to Main Street, meaning what? Well, they now realize there's a lot of people hurting because of inflation, and the economy is not quite as strong as we were told it was.
Yeah, Dan, fantastic point. I mean, we just heard our very own Sarah Williamson go out into deep blue New York City. You heard everyone, at the exception of one person, say this is on the administration. Since the pandemic, the economy is horrific. Nobody can afford anything. Everyone's 401ks, they're pretty much draining up. I mean, Dan, when it comes to yesterday, were there any companies or industries that have been hit harder than others?
Well, when you look at what happened to those tech companies, they really took a hit. And when you look at how much of a concentration there is in terms of which way the stock market winds blow is really dictated quite a lot by these AI companies. So we have to take a look at this and say, you know, did we all get caught up in this euphoria of where we're going with artificial intelligence? I believe that's the future. However, to have the whole stock market reliant upon what happens next, well, that's a real danger, if you ask me.
Yeah, definitely. I do want to ask you about this very interesting news out of yesterday. So White House senior economic advisor Gene Sperling is leaving his position behind to reportedly work with the Vice President Kamala Harris's new presidential campaign. So in a statement to the Associated Press, President Biden claiming Gene's leadership has delivered economic relief to cities and counties across the country and kept thousands of small businesses afloat. Among other successes, however, the Labor Department's weak job data, which contributed to the global stock rout, triggered the Somme rule, a rule that has accurately predicted every recession since 1970. It's hard to read that seriously, that he can come out and he can say that these people have helped, that Bidenomics has helped cities and counties across the country. I have no idea what data he's reading and how this gaslighting that is coming across the American people. Go to the grocery store. Dan, first, I just want to get your reaction on Gene Sperling resigning from his position with the Biden administration yesterday out of all days.
Well, I think the Harris campaign is right to start paying attention to what's going on with the economy. Now, I'm not necessarily in the camp that this is the right person to be advising anybody on what to do about the economy, but the approach is actually correct. Look, we are seeing, without question, early signs of a recession. And nothing is more important, in my opinion, in a presidential campaign than the economy. So if you're going to try to just sit there and make believe everything is okay and try to convince people the pain they're feeling when they go in the grocery store is not real, that's not going to work. Now, if they're going to continue on the same path of tax and spend, because that has been the approach, eventually the sugar high wears off. And perhaps that's what we're seeing. We've spent all the money the government put out to the American people. And now the question is, now what?
Yeah. I mean, Dan, and you use the word if we're going to continue on this same path. I mean, if Kamala Harris does become president, she has basically come out and said she wants everybody on the same exact playing field. That sounds like socialism to me. She wants more taxes. And like you said, are they going to keep taxing the middle class? Yes, they certainly are. That is the plan. Dan Geltrude, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Fantastic insight.
Thanks, Alex.
All right.